It's time for the College Hockey Show! And now here's your host, Jeremiah Maxwell, and the degenerate Bostonian, Mike Warino.
Hey, good evening, guys. Happy Monday. I hope all is well. I apologize. I'm still fighting a little cold here. So that's my bad. I will eventually get over this, but 'tis the season. So you got a deal, and I appreciate your patience. Nonetheless, the beard is still traveling. He shot me a text this morning. He should be back as soon as possible. It's a little crazy right now with everything going on. Flights aren't exactly as smooth as possible. But here we are, and we're back. What a pretty crazy weekend. A Sunday game. I was at Matthews Arena, the second to last men's hockey game that'll be there. They end the year with BU next weekend, and then there it goes. There goes Matthews, the oldest active hockey rink in the world. For many of you who haven't been, you ask, why are they knocking it down? Well, the ice surface is too small. They need more bathrooms. Everything's an obstructed view. The benches aren't exactly big enough for the players. I haven't heard any complaints about the locker rooms, but the roof leaks. It's an old building, guys. It's over 100 years old. There's just no other way to do it. And there's no parking whatsoever. It's almost impossible to get to Matthews. New building coming in, regulation size ice, no obstructed views. Hopefully the roof isn't going to flood. There'll be actual bathrooms for people to use, and there'll be parking. There's a nice garage going in underneath it. So much needed addition, though it is sad to see such a historical building go. But that was my Sunday. I watched UMass win 2-0 with an empty net goal. That's UMass's first Hockey East win this season. Pretty scary thought there. If you told me after Thanksgiving last place would be UMass Amherst, I would have laughed at you. But here we are, last place UMass Amherst going into the Christmas break here. I do want to point out that this is actually the last weekend of full games. Then they are students; they do have a break, and then World Juniors are the 26th of December through the 5th of January. There will be games going on then, and teams will just be playing, their normal healthy scratches and filling in holes. Honestly, it's some of my most exciting times there because I get to see, that freshman that may only get one game this year, and that's this game. When someone like Hagens is playing for Team USA, or Martone declined, but Gavin McKenna playing for Team Canada. Now you got to fill in that hole. So it's exciting to see that first weekend of games. But going through the weekend, Battle of the Border, one of my favorites. I've said it 1,000 times. I had a cousin that played at UNH way back in the day. UNH goes into Orono and sweeps their rival. Very unexpected. Rivalry games, I always say anything can happen. I will always also say Orono is one of the hardest places to play in the country. Everything College Hockey has posted that they're number 4. Spit and Chicklets has put them at number 3, so they are very difficult to play in. For other sources as well, having been there myself, it's definitely a hard place to play. So the fact that UNH went in and stole 2, very surprising. Very happy about that. Go Wildcats. Definitely a cat's house here. Other big upsets. Clarkson beats Cornell. Now, it's not the first time we've talked about Clarkson upsetting a team. There was over 45.5 hits as predicted. With that being said, very surprised. Cornell, they actually stayed in the rankings. I don't hate that idea. I don't love it either, but the Ivy League's got to get more games in. I know people are saying, well, what about the pairwise? Well, pairwise is now technically NPI. I'll be going by NPI. Beard and I will be doing that probably after New Year's. And the reason why we're just sticking to the rankings, we want the Ivy League to get more games. It's still being adjusted pretty heavily based off the Ivy League lack of games. And I say Ivy because the ECAC, which has like a team like Quinnipiac, they're playing a full schedule. But the true Ivy League schools, your Cornells, your Harvards, Penn, Princeton, etc., they're playing the old school Ivy schedule. They don't really play a lot of out-of-conference games, so they don't get a lot of them. Another big upset, Vermont and BU. And in my mind, Maybe one, great for the Catamounts, having a win against BU this year. They've got a win against Maine. So they've got a couple of, ranked opponent wins. How long will BU stay in the rankings? They're still technically ranked, and I'm kind of laughing at it. Depth-wise, I actually think they have more than Penn State, but Penn State's winning games, and BU is not. It's just plain and simple. Can the Terriers turn it around? Jay has been known to turn around his team. His first year coaching, I laughed at how bad BU was. It was pretty comical how much they sucked. And they got red hot, won the Hockey East, and ended up in the Frozen Four. They had to win Hockey East to get into the tournament that year. And by doing so, they shot through the roof. And instead of being, an auto bid team, because they had to beat, at that time it was number 1 BC, it was like number 5 Maine, number 10 or 11 UNH. Like they went through the meat grinder, 3 top 12s. They went from, should have been a 4 seed, an auto bid, to a 2 seed, got a pretty favorable first round matchup, and then poof, you're in the Frozen Four. So Jay has already proven he can turn it around as a coach. And at some point, though, you got to hit the panic button or do something else. And I will say eventually 1 year, you're not going to do it, Terriers Nation. You're just not going to be able to kick it in overdrive and save yourself after New Year's. Maybe this is the year. I don't know. The other upset was Princeton beating Union, and Union's a team fighting for top 20 votes, fighting to get in the tournament as a non-auto bid, but just to get in the tournament. So losing to Princeton, massive loss. They did beat Quinnipiac, and I'm not calling that an upset because Quinnipiac's ranked. Union should be ranked. It's all very weird. Again, ECAC doesn't have enough games yet for me to give them really good consideration. Dartmouth did get another first place vote. Expect that they're 10-0. They are undefeated. So let's see what Big Green can do. Really weren't many close calls this weekend. You either blew somebody out or upsets happened. There was no near misses, which, it happens. I do think it's ironic, but it happens. There was a shootout with Army and Sacred Heart. I guess we'd call that a close call because we had Sacred Heart money line on that one. Thank you, Sacred Heart, for pulling it out. We needed you. Even sweeps, not a whole lot of them. As I mentioned, UNH sweeping rival Maine. Massive, massive win for UNH. Puts them at 5th in Hockey East, which is, I thought they'd be 5-6 on the high side there, but, team like UMass down below, kind of scary, but also goes off what I've been saying. It's just not Hockey East year. I look at the Big Ten, 1, 2, 3, boom, all in the Big Ten. And then you look at the NCHC, they've got how many in the top 10? They've got 4. They're at number 4, they're at number 5, they're at number 6, number 7. So out of the top 7, 3 are in the Big Ten, 4 in the NCHC. Dartmouth, Penn State, who I'm putting a little asterisk next to because I'm not believing in them, and then Quinnipiac. But, this is the Western Hockey World's year. It's not, unless something changes, right? Like Maine gets hot, which they have the roster to do so. BC remains hot. They're winning more games. So maybe everyone gets healthy and BC comes around. Coach Park, get your act together. Stop playing guys a minute and a half shifts. That's not right. That's insane. That's ludicrous. And they will have no legs come the actual tournament. So maybe we change that up a little bit too. But, for right now, sticking to it, not Hockey East year, but yeah, Wisconsin beat Notre Dame. They scored 16 goals. They fell asleep in the first period, first game, going down 2-0 to win that one 7-4, and then won 9-2 the next day. So, yeah, Badgers, you had a bad period, played 5 amazing ones. There's a reason, you're ranked so high. There's a reason we believed in you. UConn sweeps Merrimack. Friday night, I was at the UConn-Merrimack game. 2 beautiful fights, like old-school hockey fights. Gloves were dropped, sticks are on the ice. Guys are just pounding each other. Why no suspensions, I don't know. I'm not mad about that because I'm a hockey fan. I think we all know fighting and hockey go hand in hand. It happens all the time. I know the collegiate level doesn't allow it, and it's bad and it's violent. It's guys, these are hockey players. especially with the kids coming down from Canadian juniors. You can fight in Canadian juniors. You can fight in major juniors. Some AAA leagues allow it as well. And like you're playing in these leagues that allow fighting to then go to the NCAAs where you can't fight, to then go to the NHL where you can fight again. So I don't see the big deal with two fights where guys drop the gloves and go at it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not gonna sit here and say I condone it because I don't, but it's part of hockey. It's part of the game. There were good fights, and then I think any cheap shots got landed, and they went at it the next night and it was fine. So I thought it was a pretty well officiated game that Friday. Saturday I wasn't able to get there. I was down in Yukon. But very entertaining. And I will say this is the first time, and I was sitting there in the stands going, where's this Merrimack team been all year? Where's this fight in them been all year? You would say, where's the dog in these guys? Because many times I've watched them this year, and it's just been a sad, sad team. No life, no energy. It's almost like they didn't care. Didn't want to be there. And it was, it's a depressing team. And then I see them play Yukon. They're dropping the gloves. They're sticking up for each other. And just renewed energy. It was so refreshing to see. So Merrimack, bring that energy you brought this weekend to the rest of the season. And we got a squad here. Plus, those new jerseys look beautiful. Thank you for not being a damn highlighter. My God, they're so ugly. Never bring those back. New Balance, what were you doing? Please, do not bring those jerseys back. Don't donate them either. Just get rid of them. Nobody wants to wear that highlighter. I do want to put a special note. Senior forward, I apologize for pronouncing your name wrong, man. Tabor Heaslip of Yukon. Kid's on fire. 5'9", $175, throwing his weight around like an absolute champ this weekend. He had 9 hits in Friday night's game alone, had a goal, worked the power play. The kid was magical. And I was just like, wow, this kid's good. So was it a fluky, amazing weekend for him? I don't know. But Taylor Heaslip, number 23 of Yukon, let's keep an eye on him. Kind of like I've been keeping an eye on Morozov over at Miami of Ohio. That's another guy we're going to bring up. More sweeps, though. BC swept Lowell, not a surprise. North Dakota swept St. Cloud. I think that's the nail in the coffin for St. Cloud. Very tough conference, as I just said, with the NCHC, with 4 in the top 10, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just going to be a tough year for St. Cloud. It's the way it is. It's a hard conference to find wins. And you're like, oh, maybe we'll beat Colorado College. Well, they're probably number 20, so good luck with that. Not an easy conference. So, yeah, you're 7-9 right now, St. Cloud. Hey, I'm kind of writing you off based off the conference you're in. With that being said, you have a ton of top 10 opponents to face the rest of the year. Easily could turn it around. So, best of luck. Denver swept Miami. I thought Miami would steal a game here. They did not. They came close Saturday, but didn't come through. That being said, way to go, Denver. And then to highlight St. Cloud again, Miami of Ohio also in the NCAA. It's just a meat grinder, that conference. Jeez. Last but not least, Stonehill sweeps Alaska Anchorage. I thought that would be the other way around. I really thought Alaska would take it at home. They did not. I don't know what happened. I couldn't really get a good grip of that game. Couldn't really watch them. Just looked at the stats. Seemed even. But hey, at the same time, good for Stonehill. You guys are coming along just fine. New program. Got to get that arena fixed or finished. We need a real arena, not a pretty nice youth hockey arena. We want to see a real arena where locker rooms have some heat in it so gear can air out from the plane ride home and the next night, and guys have showers, and you're getting there. We're getting there. We're happy for you guys. A lot of splits this weekend. As predicted, Michigan State, the road teams would win. Some of you may ask, what do you mean road teams? Those schools are 7 miles apart. Friday they played at East Lansing and Michigan State. Michigan would win. Ann Arbor at the Yost, Michigan would host, and Michigan State would win that one. So it was a split. Both road teams won, just like we told you would happen here. If you're asking me why I didn't bet it, because it's 1 versus 3. I'm pretty confident in myself, and I did predict that, but sometimes you don't want to bet on a post going the other way. So Duluth and Western Michigan, they also split 4-7. Not a surprise there. Ohio State and Minnesota also split. They were the Thursday-Friday series. Pretty even teams. Ohio State and Minnesota there. Both of them, we thought we'd do a lot better this year, so let's see what happens. Can they steal games against Penn State? Probably. Ohio State should have, and they choked twice. They get 2 more cracks at it at Penn State. We'll see what happens. Minnesota's got a few more cracks at them as well. They just got their doors blown off, so we'll see. But, the Big Ten, it's going to be a conference we talk about every week. Hey, look at this big matchup. Hey, look at this big matchup. And it's no surprise. It's honestly should not come as a surprise this year more than most, but it's same with the NCHC. Just absolute meat grinders, those two. Again, top 7 teams in the country, 2 conferences. And, looking at those schools, there are some of the most decorated schools in history. So not surprised. The Blue Bloods are taking over. And there are years that are like that. Concerns and upsides, though. UMass Amherst only has 1 Hockey East win so far. I definitely expect him to be a lot better. Herbal is healthy again. He did dress. He was a backup. He was an anchor for them last year to their tournament run. He will be playing for the Czech Republic come the World Juniors. So I am expecting UMass to turn it around as they're getting healthier. Muse is going to go play for the States. They've got a few guys coming back from injury, so I'm hoping they'll turn it around. Again, injuries can be decimate and destroy you. I think if they can steal one more game this upcoming weekend, it might help themselves and weather the storm in early January. They have a chance to kind of climb back up. Notre Dame just gave up 16. I thought you'd go 500. I am very concerned. You've got to play Michigan. You've got to play Michigan State. You've got to play Penn State. Not easy games. Not easy games at all. You actually play Wisconsin again. It's just, I wish you the best of luck, the Irish. I don't think it's your year. I thought you'd at least get 500. I don't think that anymore. And you have 6 drafted guys. Your goalie, Kemp, is going to be the starter for the United States, and I fully agree with that pick. I think he's a fantastic goalie. I think anyone would want him. But you need more than 5 skaters. There's a reason why Notre Dame was beating BC at BC. There was a reason they were up 2-0 against Wisconsin. There was a reason, they came back and scored 4 goals in 16 minutes at Merrimack. Like, they have 5-6 guys that can really skate, and then it falls off. It's surprising me a team like Notre Dame. Granted, they don't have the pedigree, the history of a hockey program, but it's Notre Dame. They've been there and done that for a few Frozen Fours. Like, they've got the money, they've got the facilities, they've got the brand. Very surprising they're struggling this much. Dartmouth did get another first-place vote. Expecting big things out of Dartmouth this year. Again, they did this last year, and then they played Merrimack, and they lost, and it just derailed the season. They're hosting Arizona State. They're not doing a normal tournament like they do over winter break, but they are hosting Arizona State for a weekend. I'll be there. I'll let you know what I think and blah, blah, blah. Just kind of stumbling through there now. They do play UNH next Sunday, so that's a great out-of-conference game. It's at Arizona State they're going to play, and then that's just the ECAC schedule after that. So, they very much could run the table. Harvard a couple times. They're flirting with, high teens, low 20s. Union, high teens, low 20s. Cornell, high teens, low 20s. Quinnipiac, top 10. It's like they've got teams they got to play. And, we'll see what the Big Green does. Instead of playing Merrimack, they're going to play Arizona State. So, again, let's see what happens. If they repeat what happens last year, it's unfortunate. Last year, they rose to number 4 and didn't make the tournament. I hope it's not the same. But we shall see. We absolutely shall see, what happens. And then I talked about it earlier. Is BU done for the year? I don't know. They were 18 last week. Now they're 20th. And the NPI is not giving them a lot of love, nor should it. I will say I'm not going to hit the panic button yet at the end of January. I will after the World Juniors or the U20s are over and we all come back and we got everybody there. Then we will – I think that one they've got a little bit more slack just because of what they've done this before in the past. A team like St. Cloud, I haven't seen them do this in the past. A team like Merrimack, I haven't seen them do that in the past. A team like BC, I have seen them do it in the past. UMass, I have seen them do it in the past. A team like Omaha, I haven't. So, I'm looking at those schools like, you got to do it now for me. And I'm okay with, again, I've said this 1,000 times, I'm okay being wrong. Please prove me wrong. Michigan has proven me wrong this year. I thought they'd be flirting with a tournament spot. Maybe they go to the second round if they got the right matchup. Now they're number one in the country. I thought Wisconsin would be a top 10 team this year. Now they're number 2 and arguably number 1 in the country. I thought BU would be a national champion contender, and that's wrong. It is what it is. So, life goes on. Again, I love being proven wrong, and so I'm hoping for that. But I am a degenerate. Let's not forget ahead of ourselves here. If you followed on my tweets, we were 4 for 4 on the weekend. I know last weekend it cost you 1.2 units. I apologize. I did get you 3.1 back. All right, we're 34 and 14 on the year. We're up 12.53 units. For those of you that like math, let's say your average bet is $10. You are up $125.30. So we're up by 12.5x, 125x. You want to put it that way. I think that's pretty good. You look at any of the cappers out there, they're hovering at 60%. Perlo's at like 65. I'm sure some of you remember us from NHL Nightly. Perlo and Rico, they're in like the 65 percentile. 34 and 14. Let's do a little math right now. Got an extra minute here. You guys will chime in. 34 over 48. I am at 71%. I challenge anybody out there to be better than 71% of picking college hockey right now. So, yeah, that's my flex of the night. Keep in touch. Tomorrow, battle over Rhode Island, Providence, and Brown. Fun time. It's a nice in-state rivalry. Providence, should they smoke them? Yes. Super young team versus Brown is it's a senior-heavy team, much older team. So you don't know. And that's the best part about these games. Anything can happen. It's a pretty open field this year, and I like that. With that being said, the top 10, pretty much all the blue bloods. So, but 11 through 40, I love how tight it is, and it's great. I look at some conferences like NCHC, and there's 6 points separating number 1 from number 7, and you're just like, wait a minute, hold on a second here. You're telling me if, all right, the Denver's losing a bunch of people over the tournament there, and Arizona State gets 2 wins against a wounded Denver team. All of a sudden, they go from 7th to 3rd. Now they're going to have let's say that holds out. Their first round matchup is a home game against Minnesota Duluth. Well, something could happen with Minnesota Duluth. And, the team that should be playing, now Denver's at 5 and Western Michigan's at 4. Well, the top 10 team in the country is going to get eliminated in that one. And all of a sudden you're like, Arizona State, North Dakota, and St. Cloud, who shouldn't have been there, gets in, and Colorado, when Denver's in, you're like, well, hold on. Like, now we've got drama. So anything can happen. I love the discrepancy. I'm sorry. But rounding out the show, I apologize how quick it is. There's just when a lot of chalk wins and we only get a few upsets, this is what happens. I will say a team like UNH, I am looking forward to seeing how it goes. Again, having wins against BU, having wins against Maine, I expect both of those teams to end the year ranked. And that's why I'm highlighting those. But they also have, Clarkson has had a couple of top 10 wins. It sounds crazy to say. UNH started the year out really early with a win at Michigan State. Like, it's mind-boggling that they beat Sparta. And again, anything could happen. They beat UConn as well. So, they've got 4 top 15 wins. Watch out for the Wildcats. Watch out for Clarkson. They beat Penn State, though I think Penn State's a phony. I'll say it. I see 2019 Wisconsin vibes, that nifty Lions team. But we shall see. Top 20 polls. Michigan, number 1, stayed at number 1. Wisconsin stayed at number 2. Michigan State stayed at number 3. North Dakota jumps up to 4th. With the sweep for St. Cloud. Duluth falls from 4 to 5 with the split. I guess so. Yeah, you split versus sweep, and they're so tight, so close. It doesn't matter all that much. Denver stays at 6. Western stays at 7. I want to be like, well, Minnesota dropped. Well, The reason why Western stays at 7 is because Dartmouth's at number 8, and they were just at number 10, so they moved up. Dartmouth hasn't played enough games, and that's why Western's kind of staying at 7. If Dartmouth had a full schedule and they're still undefeated, yeah, different story. But only got 10 games. They got to play more games. But again, this all gets corrected within about a month or so. Penn State stayed at 9. Quinnipiac drops a couple of spots. Again, they did lose a game. And the downfall is when you play a bad team and lose, you fall a couple spots. Northeastern jumps up 1 to number 11. UConn from 14 to 12. BC from 15 to 13. That BC team is getting hot. I don't know what happened. Get hot. Coach Park, don't blow it. Stop playing everyone for a minute and a half because I'm watching teams get gassed out. Watching your guys get beat on the ice. All of your goals that you give up are end of shift. Enough with this minute and a half crap. 30 to 45 seconds. If they got a great shift, make it a minute. But a minute and a half is too long. It's way too long. Minnesota State drops 1 spot from 13 to 14. Maine falls all the way to 15 from 11. 100% agree with that. You can't get swept at home by anybody, especially UNH. Though then again, UNH could be better than we think. We shall see. Providence staying idle at 16. Cornell stays idle at 17. Harvard, now number 18. They were not ranked last week. A team that was supposed to suck this year all of a sudden finds themselves ranked. Again, I have no problem being wrong. So let's see what happens. Colorado College jumps from 19 from 20, and BU falls from 18 to 20. And I honestly think that's a gift. I really do. BU, I don't think you should be ranked. Come at me. It's fine. Bring on the haters. Bring on whatever you want. I've said it 100 times. I live in the same town as Jay Pandolfo. I see his family time to time in the grocery store. I want to see it. I'm just getting the comments, and I apologize. Bulldogs are looking nice. Bulldogs are looking mint. They are beyond nice this year. A team that I thought maybe flirts with the Excel Energy semifinals, finals to the NCHC, gets an auto bid with some upsets. I'm going to say I was wrong. I thought maybe they were somewhere between 12 and 18. No, they're definitely a top 10 at a minimum. At a minimum, top 10. Right now, they're at 5. I love them at 5 right now, and we're going to let the season play out. NPI has them at 4. But if you look at NPI right now, Dartmouth's number 1. So it's kind of interesting how the NPI works. We'll get into it more. We'll do a whole show on it like we did last year, what the difference is. They changed the formulas up a little bit, so it's going to take a little bit more depth to get into that. But lastly, just teams getting votes. Union got the most votes at 65. I agree with it so far, who they've played and how they've done. But losing to Princeton, it's tough for me to say that. UMass getting 42 votes. They did just beat number 11 Northeastern, and then they lost in overtime to them. So getting 3 out of 4 points against number 11, I get where you're getting some votes. If they're healthy, they absolutely should be ranked, but they're not healthy right now. I do want to say cheers to Curtis Irving, the supposed to be Amherst backup, but he's been playing since our ball's been injured. I just want to say bravo, congratulations. It's a family-friendly show, so I'm not going to say what I know, but I did sit next to some of his friends. So congratulations to you, Mr. Irving. I hope you had a wonderful Sunday. I know a few people were very excited to see you back at campus. Miami of Ohio got 37 votes, and I agree with that. They were ranked last week at 19. They did just get swept by Denver. Give them some more faith. I think they can creep in to the top 20, but I don't know how much further they're going to get in the top 20. Holy Cross surprising me with some votes there. I don't see it happening. New Hampshire at 20, getting 20 votes. I agree with that. Big sweep. And you string together a few more wins, they'll be ranked. Augustana, Arizona State, they have the skills to be ranked. They're just not winning. And for Augustana, they don't have the firepower on their schedule to get back in the mix. Arizona State does. But Augustana does not. So Augustana, you got to run the table. I'm sorry, fellas. It's just CCHA doesn't have the firepower. It's unfortunate. But it's this way you're in. Bemidji State, same story. RIT, same story. You don't have the firepower, so you got to run the table, and it's tough. St. Cloud has the firepower. Let's see what they can do. I think their season's toast. That's my opinion. Princeton's getting votes, so maybe it's not as big of upset. They beat Union, but I think they just got a good game in. That's my take. And Michigan Tech got a vote. I think they're a cool team, but I don't know. Looking at Princeton this year, they're 7-4. Their biggest win is probably Clarkson or Union. Scrolling through their schedule, Quinnipiac and Dartmouth, Cornell, those are their only big games there. So I don't know how much they're going to make up. Again, this comes down to you got to have firepower. You got to have those big ranked teams, and the disadvantage for the Ivy, specifically the Ivy schools, the ECAC schools like Quinnipiac, no, they play out of conference. But the Ivy schools that don't play out of conference, this is the problem you run into every single year. You don't play enough out of conference games, if any. You only play within the conference. The conference is hard to be graded against because of that, and you get punched. It's 2025. We're not wearing suits to games. We're not, fanning ourselves and wearing our little twisty umbrellas and smoking cigars. We're just at a hockey game. I go in a hoodie and t-shirt, shorts, hat. And it's a non-smoking building. They're all non-smoking. So get with the times, play some out-of-conference games. Michigan Tech, looking at they beat Minnesota. If they can turn it around, sure. Miami, they got one game against Miami of Ohio. Yeah, St. Thomas, Minnesota State. Again, another one. You just got to run the table because you don't have the firepower. And it's for some of these schools, some of these conferences, the CCHA in particular, the Atlantic, it's tough. It's really, really tough. It's unfortunate. It's just the way it is. I'm looking forward to the expansion of college hockey. I'm talking to a few people, and they're saying in 4 years, we're going to see a tournament expansion because we'll see a massive team expansion. There's another conference they're trying to put in New England. Some of the schools I kind of laughed at, a lot of them are D3. At the same time, I do like seeing that come up. There was talk that the Pac-12 was going to come back. So you would have Colorado, UCLA, USC, Oregon would not go to the Big Ten, even though they're part of the Big Ten for literally everything else. Washington, same story. They would all be like a West Coast Pac-12 conference there. Utah would be in it. And I think that would be great. But if those two conferences come in, we're adding 26 teams, and that would expand the playoff by 9. So I don't know how they would expand by 9. So that'd be 25. So maybe they drop it to 24. I know what lacrosse did was they had a one-team play-in game. So for lacrosse, 17 teams, quote-unquote, make it. 17 and 16 play. The winner gets the 16 seed and goes to the regular tournament to play number 1. So in this case, it would be 25 plays 24. The winner would play, the next seed. And out of the 24, 1 through 8 get a bye. And then 9 through 24 play. So maybe that's how we get 25 teams. Again, this is all within 4 years. Like, we're not going to see it this year, not next year, not the year after. 29, 2030, those would be the years we'd get to have this. So with that being that's today's show. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. I am updating my TikTok left, right, and center. Colleen, thank you very much for all the help. Very appreciative. Our first intern of the show. So cheers. And again, go Wildcats. Appreciate you and all the help you're giving me. Turns out you can teach an old guy new tricks about technology. With that being said, guys, though, thank you for tuning in. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know about giveaways. We will be covering the World Juniors because, well, it's got college players in it, and I watch that like it's Christmas, reruns all over again. So cheers to everybody, and have a good night.